Please, I can't sleep.
It's time to listen to Courtney at last on the Ramblings of an Insomniac podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Ramblings of an Insomniac. I am Courtney. How the heck are ya? So I must admit, I did not watch the debate yesterday. However, I did just watch it on YouTube today, watched the entire thing, and I have to say, I'm very impressed with both parties. Not just Vance, but also with Tim Walz. I'm impressed with him because I felt, in my opinion, they conducted themselves like adults. They were mature. They were civil. It was fantastic to watch. There were even a couple of things they semi-agreed on. And it was nice. It was very refreshing to see adults behave in a civil manner and not shouting over each other or rolling eyes or calling names. And, you know, it was pretty refreshing. Did you guys watch the debate? I'm kind of hoping, I'm genuinely hoping that everybody that watched the Harris and Trump debate also watched the Vance Walz debate, because I feel that JD Vance really did a fantastic job at driving home exactly what Trump and he represent, what they stand for, what their policies are. I think that Vance was very well spoken. He, even when the commentator was very much a see you next Tuesday, God, Margaret, she was just a condescending bleepity bleep hole, man. And Nora just kind of sat there and didn't do much, but Margaret was a very condescending see you next Tuesday, and I was not down with her. So aside from the commentators, I know CBS is just trying to get anybody to watch their station. So they had to drum up drama in order to do that. They have to do something because the candidates were being civil. So they were like, well, we can't have civility. My dog just literally peed on me, my old dog. Really? I'm in the middle of a podcast and my elderly dog just lifted his leg and peed on me. Okay, so clearly I'm going to have to pause and go, okay, I don't know if he's like F Kamala Harris, F JD Vance, F Trump, F Walz, I don't know, but he just peed on me. Okay, so pause for a commercial break. Seriously, that was gross. Anyway, I think the commentators were really wanting to drum up some drama because, they were being so civil. But I think they did a good job. And I love that Vance, anytime they tried to gloss over something or redirect, he was like, no, this is what we're on. And I love that he kept saying, look, if Kamala is so for all of these things, she has had 4 years to do these things. She has had 4 years to do them. Why hasn't she done them? Why is she waiting for a promotion? She could go back to the White House right now. Same thing that Trump said. She could go back to the White House right this very moment and do these things. If she is so for all of these policies and all of these great things, and she stands by them, why isn't she doing them? And why hasn't she done them for the past 4 years? It's insane. It's insane that they keep acting like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So you're admitting you haven't done anything. So you're admitting that since you have been the vice president, you and the president have done nothing. And you are admitting that it needs to be changed because you're talking about change. Everything you're talking about doing are things that Biden and you are currently not doing. Every policy, the few that you talk about that you don't flip-flop on, well, actually you flip-flop on every policy, and yet you keep saying that you're going to do these things. because they need to be changed. Well, it's your administration right now. So you're agreeing and admitting that your administration that you are partially in charge of needs to be changed. And it's insanity that people aren't seeing that and putting the two together. They're acting like Kamala Harris is this brand new candidate that fell out of the sky when she is our current vice president. And I love that J.D. Vance kept making that clear. And I love how calm and cool and collected he was. I like that he stayed on topic. I liked that he was like, asked Waltz, to Waltz about abortion. I asked you a direct quote. I asked you a direct question. And you gave me a slogan as an answer. I love that he said that because that is what Kamala and he are best known for. That is what Democrats are best known for. You ask a question, you ask a direct question, usually a yes or no question, and they will say, talk about their childhood and being a middle class citizen, and they will talk about what once was and all of this crap. And so instead of just answering the question, they will give a bumper sticker slogan. So it was refreshing. It was very, very refreshing to hear and see the candidates stay civil, behave as adults, even kind of complimenting each other here and there. I do love very much that J.D. Vance brought up that Hillary Clinton and the Democrats very much disagreed when Trump was president. They said that it was fraud. They said that it had to do with Russian collusion. They tried to blame it on Russian collusion. They tried to blame it on everything. They did not just take that Trump won. They didn't go, oh, Trump won. Congratulations. Let's shake hands. They also didn't take it when Bush Jr. won. When Bush Jr. won, they had a temper tantrum and said that he wasn't elected. When Al Gore was running, they said it was a hanging Chad. So they always complain. Every time a Republican wins as president, the Democrats throw fits and say it was fraud and say that it was not accurate and it was false and that they weren't our president. So I'm very glad that JD brought that up, that, hey, remember that you guys throw temper tantrums every time a president is elected that's not a Democrat, and you like to blame Republicans. I know that nobody threw a fit when Obama won. There wasn't a Republican. I mean, there may have been obviously Republicans or people that were upset that Obama won. I'm not saying there weren't people that weren't upset that Obama won. I'm saying there wasn't any rioting. There wasn't anyone that died over it. And they certainly didn't claim that it was voter fraud. They certainly didn't claim that we needed to recount the votes. They just took it and they accepted it. And they were like, all right, that's our president now. But the Democrats threw a gigantic hissy fit when Hillary lost. Hillary herself threw a hissy fit. She didn't even come out and talk to anybody at all. She was too busy being pissed off and throwing a temper tantrum. Everybody threw a fit. All the Democrats and liberals screamed. Remember that when they screamed at the top of their lungs, literally screaming into microphones? I love how the convenience of forgetting. It must be nice just to conveniently forget facts and statistics the way the Democrats do. It must be nice to have selective memory. But again, aside from the commentators, they were horrific, should be ashamed of themselves. I loved that because Waltz and Vance did such a good job at conducting themselves like mature humans. The commentators really stood out as looking very, very bad, far worse than they would have if J.D. Vance and Tim Waltz were up there fighting and rolling their eyes and cackling. Then the commentators don't stand out as bad when they're being terrible. But this time they really stood out as being terrible because the men up there were being civil. And the women were being catty little cackling hens. They were cackling Kamalas. They're like, oh, Kamala's not here to do her cackle. We have to represent. We got to represent that cackle. It's insanity. But unfortunately, I don't think the amount of people that watch the vice presidential debate, I don't know the statistics, so I'm not saying this as a fact or anything like that. But I'm assuming the people that watch the vice presidential debate, I'm assuming it's probably only like 30% of America, maybe 25% of America. I don't know. Again, I'm pulling those numbers out my rear end. I don't know if I'm correct. I'm hoping and praying that those numbers are not correct. I'm hoping that at least half of America, I don't know what the stats are, honestly, on who watches the presidential debate. I don't even know what the stats are for that. I don't know what the stats are for this year. But I'm just hoping and praying and crossing my fingers that a lot of people, that at least like 40% of America tuned in to the vice presidential debate, because I feel like Vance really saved Trump's bacon, because Trump does not do a good job at explaining himself. He doesn't do a good job with communication. That's not his forte. So, his forte is more foreign policy and business. So J.D. Vance's realm, he is a much better communicator. He can conduct himself to be more, he sounds more approachable. He doesn't come off like a jackass. He doesn't, offend people right away. So they're a good balance. They're a very good balance. And so I'm really hoping, because J.D. Vance did a great catch, Pucky, good job. Again, I'm throwing the ball while doing my podcast as usual. My dog just made an ESPN catch. But I am hoping that they watched, because I feel like Vance did a good job at really explaining what Trump was trying to say, and not the best way. What his policies are, what he plans to do with this country, and making it clear that Trump has already been the president and he already has a phenomenal track record. So he wants to continue the already existing factual track record that is statistically and factually better than Kamala Harris's. That's just a fact. It's not an opinion. It is a fact. So I'm glad that they kept driving that home. If Kamala wants to do these things, why hasn't she done them the past almost 4 years? She has had almost 4 years. Why haven't they been implemented? Why doesn't she go back to the White House and implement those things right now? And I like that they kept driving that home. Trump has already done it. He's already had the track record. It's been proven to be better than Kamala's. We don't know what Kamala is going to do, because so far everything she said she was going to do has been a lie. She has not followed through on any of it. What makes us think she's going to follow through now? So I like that that Vance kept driving that home. So I don't know if you have not watched the vice presidential debate. Please, 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 I beg of you, do it. Although I'm assuming most of my listeners are conservative and they're probably already going to vote for Trump. But if you are not conservative, then first of all, man, you have some tough skin, and shout out to you. I fucking love you. You are amazing. You have much respect that you are listening to me if you are a liberal or a Democrat, because I think I'm pretty hard on you guys. I don't think it. I know it. I'm pretty damn hard. I'm pretty rude. I'm pretty blunt. And so if you're listening, then you're not a snowflake and you have some tough ass skin. And even if you just listen because you hate me, even if you listen because you think everything I say is ridiculous and you just like listening to because of that, still, the fact that you even tune in is amazing. And hey, props to you. And I do encourage you to listen, because I am admitting that I think that Waltz did a fantastic job as well. I think he was also civil. I think he also conducted himself like a mature adult, and I was very impressed. I was impressed with both of them. I honestly like Waltz more than I do Kamala. I don't like either of them, but I like him more than her. And so that said, I urge you, this is our country, people. It is important. It is incredibly important to look at things from every single aspect, to really pay attention to things that are going to affect your life. Even if you're young, this country and our policies affect you. It doesn't matter if you're old or young. It affects you. I said on my last podcast, I never used to listen to the news. I never watched the news, and I never paid attention to these things because I didn't think that it affected me. But it does. It very, very, very much does. And you have to watch it, because you need to know where your money. Come on, guys, let's go. Good job. Good girl. Come on, Mo. Nora, let's go. So good, calm. Come on, Mosby. Sorry, guys. But it very, very much affects you. It affects your schooling. It affects your education. It affects your jobs. It affects your future, which you do need to be wary of, because it affects how much money you have to save to buy a house, to buy a car, to pay your bills. And when you are elderly and you can't work, you have to have retirement. You have to have money to be able to pay your health care and pay your bills. So you need to be paying attention now. Now is the time, not later. Don't do what I did. Don't do what a lot of us young people do and think that it doesn't affect us, so we don't pay attention. I'm telling you that I made a mistake. I was wrong. And you should be paying attention. And I urge you to listen with an open mind. Don't go into it. I did not go into it. I really didn't go into it going, this dick, this dude, he's a Democrat. Bleh. Not going to listen. I mean, I do admit that I was like, man, I hope this goes a lot better than the Trump-Harris did, because I don't think that Trump did a great job at explaining himself. I think he meant well and he knows what he's going to do, but he just doesn't do a good job at communicating that, and he gets caught up in the pettiness. So I was like, oh, I wonder what kind of shenanigans Tim's going to pull. I wonder what kind of shenanigans CBS is going to pull. I wonder if they're going to show bias again. So I did go into it with that, but I honestly went into an open mind as far as listening to both sides, really genuinely hearing and listening and absorbing what both sides have to say and not making snarky comments. And so I urge you to do that, because again, you cannot make an educated decision if you're only listening to one side. You cannot make an informed, educated decision if you are just listening to your friends or just listening to TikTok. You have got to listen to all sides of the coin, because, again, it does affect you. And now my dogs have successfully lost all of their balls. We had 3 of them. We have 1. You guys, where are the balls at? Where do you keep putting the balls? So if you haven't, watch it, watch it, watch it. Do it. You'll look real cool. Everybody's doing it. You'll look real cool. Just kidding. Not using peer pressure. Just kidding. No peer pressure. But I do suggest it. I do think that it would be worth your while. Do it while you're cleaning the house. Do it on your way to work, on your way back from work. Do it while you are, I don't know, just try to find the time. It's important. It's important to carve out that time and really, really listen. Even if you're not from this country, I think it's maybe worthwhile, although I don't listen to debates and things with other people's countries. So I guess there's that. So that is on my mind. That's keeping me up. Do you like how every time I start my podcast, I literally just delve right into it? I'm just like, hey, what's up? So this is what's on my mind. Boom. Again, like I always say, no foreplay, just boom, right into it. So that's on my mind. The other thing that's on my mind is the hurricane that has devastated Florida and South Carolina and Tennessee and all these different states that FEMA has decided that they don't need to partake in. They're like, all of the people without power, all the dead people, the people without power, the people that don't have a way to heat their homes or don't have a home or don't have a shelter to go to, screw them, because we're worried about really important things. You know what their important things are? And this is not me making this up. This is not me twisting things or editing things. This is actually on the FEMA website, so you can look it up on FEMA's website. Right now, what their number one priority is, their main concern is equality. Making sure that there's just the right amount of Asians, Latinos, transgender, Satan worshipers, Catholics, Black people, people that identify as a cat, people that identify as a tree. They need just the right amount of each before they go save people. Because, the people that are drowning very much care who, who's saving them. They want it to make sure that the person saving them is a Black person that is, not oppressed. We don't want them to feel oppressed. Or it's a transgender person that feels safe and secure while they are saving someone's life. FEMA, honest to God, their number one priority, look it up, is equality. They want to make sure that their company has the right amount of people, because that's normal. Because that's the way the world works. When we're all walking around in life, there's always the exact proportionate people walking on the streets. There's just enough Black people, white people, Asian, Native American, and Hispanic people. And there's just enough transgender and female and male and non-binary. And there's, just enough lesbians and just enough of all these. That's just always a perfect amount walking around, because that's normal. Because in Asia or in India, there's always going to be a proportionate amount of Caucasians there, right? I mean, give me a break. When you're in Asia, there's going to be more Asians. When you're in India, there's going to be more Indians. When you're in Ireland, there's going to be more Irish men and women. That's just how it is. And so when you're in America, because we're so diverse, suddenly we think that because we're a diverse country, we have to have every single person represented. That is just not how life is. That doesn't even make any sense. What does matter, because if we start doing that, we're going to have airplane pilots that don't know how to fly the plane, but we don't give a shit as long as we're representing every single gender and color and religion. No, we actually want qualifications to matter. We need people that actually know what the fuck they're doing. And someone being saved or brought in food supplies or food and supplies, they're not really going to give a rat's ass who's bringing those supplies in, as long as those supplies are safe, as long as they are not tainted with something, as long as they're not poisoned, then they don't care who's bringing it in. But FEMA does. FEMA would rather let all of these people starve, not have water, not be able to communicate, in order to make sure that their company has just the right amount. So how many Asians are applying to FEMA? How many Latinos are applying? How many transgender people are applying? Because that's the other thing. I love how women like to point out sometimes, well, in construction, there are always men in construction, way more than women. Okay, how many women are applying? Probably the reason that there are more men is because a lot more men apply, just like underwater welding. Maybe the reason that there are more men that do underwater welding is because there are far more men than women that apply. So maybe if there were in fact, welders, notoriously welders are better. Female welders are usually better. We have better dexterity. So companies love to hire females in welding in particular because we're notoriously better at it. But true equality means that if you try out for the Navy SEALs, you better do every single thing the exact way that the men do it, because you want equality. Equality doesn't mean you try out for the Navy SEALs and you have them give you more time, or they give you a shorter wall to go over, or you don't have to hold your breath as long, or you don't have to stay awake as long, because people's lives depend on you knowing what to do. Just like a fireman. If you're going to be a fireman and you're a woman, you better be able to carry the weight of all the equipment, plus a body. You better be able to take the exact same steps and do the same exam and do it in the same amount of time required with the same amount of weight required, because lives are at stake. And if you want true, actual, real equality, that means you do the exact same test that the men do. Otherwise, it's not equality. But don't say, well, more men get hired in that position than men. Okay, how many women apply to be underwater welders, or apply to be certain jobs that they feel that men dominate? And again, let's face it, there is very much a big difference between men and women. Thank God. Thank God there are, because that's why there's men and women, because we complement one another. And yes, sometimes there are women that are better at things that are quote, quote, more masculine or manly things. And sometimes there are men that are better at some things that are quote, quote, more feminine. But it is amazing and wonderful that there are men and women because we have each other's back. Because if we were the same, we wouldn't be able to exist, I don't think. I don't think we'd be able to coexist if we were exactly the same. We need to have people that are better at some things than others. We need to have people that are better at math, better at writing, better at communication, better at, the hunters and the gatherers. And again, that doesn't mean that women can't shoot guns and women can't hunt. And that doesn't mean that men can't knit and men can't stay home and watch kids. Whoever is better suited, whoever is better qualified should do that job. But it shouldn't be based on you just need to check a box that says you've hired an Indian. And I mean Indian as in someone from India. That's not what this should be about. And that is what the Democrats make it about. And that's what FEMA right now, that's why they won't go help anybody affected by the hurricane, because they're too busy worrying about that. And Kamala Harris, where the hell are you? And Biden sat there and said, oh, I've been advised not to go because I've been told it will just make things worse. Yeah, you probably will. That's probably actually good advice. That's probably actually wonderful advice because Biden does tend to just make things worse. Everywhere he goes, he does tend to make things worse. So I agree with whoever advised him not to go anywhere. He just shouldn't go anywhere because he does just fuck everything up wherever he goes. But where the hell is Kamala? Where's cackling Kamala? Where's killer Kamala? Where's she at? What is she doing to help out the victims of the hurricane? Do we know? She can't sleep her way to the top for, helping people out. Is she going to go around sleeping with everybody? Does that somehow make it better? Apparently, she's really, really good at it because she has made her way to vice president. So she must be fantastic. Allegedly. She allegedly did that. Allegedly. So I just hope that when people are voting, they're really listening and they're not just watching CNN and they're not just watching, liberal TikTok videos. I hope that they're watching all different things with an open mind, all different media outlets. Because again, we can't truly be educated where we are ignorant if we're only listening to one side. And ignorance has gotten us in this pickle that we're in right now. Oh my God, it did it again. And I don't know how long I've been talking, and I don't know if it was still recording. Lord have mercy. Basically, what I was saying is ignorance has got us in this pickle. Ignorance has got the economy crashing, and we don't need more ignorance in the world. We need to be educated. We need to listen to all sides, not just one media outlet, not just one point of view. This really affects us, and we need to make sure that we are qualified. We're not checking a box that says, oh, I hired an Indian. Again, when I say Indian, I mean from India. We don't need to worry about checking boxes to make it look cool on paper. We need to worry about qualified people making educated decisions because people's lives are at stake. And during the hurricane, where is Kamala? Does she think she's going to sleep her way to help everybody? Does she think that sleeping, like I said, she must be really good in bed because it's made her VP. So she must be fantastic. Allegedly, she slept her way to the top. And she must allegedly be really good at it because she's the vice president. But we don't need that. We don't need people that are good in bed. We don't need people that are helping out because they fit a box and make us feel good inside because we think that we've done a service by hiring someone that's not educated and not qualified, but, makes us look like we're accepting wonderful people. How about we just be wonderful people? How about we actually focus on being genuinely good people? Why don't we try that? Why don't we try to actually make our actions match our words? Actions speak louder than words. How about we actually walk the walk and be good people? Instead of making it look like we're good people, because again, I don't know what holding up a sign, shouting at people that they're pro-Palestine, I don't know how that helps anybody. How does that help anyone from Palestine? How does that help anyone from Israel? How does that help anyone from America? How does that help our economy? How does that help the inflation and fentanyl crisis? How does you screaming and yelling and preventing Jewish people from going to school that they paid for, that they got accepted to, and it is a public school that you do not have the right to keep them from? How does you protesting and making a chain link wall, a body wall, how does that help anybody? Why don't you put your words, why don't you close your mouth and actually put your words into action? Why don't you stop screaming and yelling and actually go help people? So I just hope we all watch the debate with open hearts. I hope that we start listening to people that have different beliefs than we do. And if we can't come to a common ground, at least just say, hey, I'm glad that we listened to each other. And maybe we still disagree and maybe we still don't like each other, but at least we listened. At least we took the time, even if it's just for 1 minute, a literal minute of listening to each other. At least that's a step. At least that's something. That's better than nothing. Even if we can agree it's a nice day out. Even if we can agree, I like dogs. I don't know, but let's just start somewhere. I'm not the first one to say this. I'm not the millionth person to say this. This isn't new and enlightening. I just think that we need to start, again, following up and having our actions match our words. So, again, if you are listening to for the first time or the 60th time, I very much appreciate you. I very much appreciate anybody and everybody that has listened to my point of view that maybe disagrees with me, because I can be abrasive, I can be harsh, I can be unprofessional, I can be politically incorrect. And so I very much appreciate if you don't agree with anything that I say whatsoever, or maybe you only agree with a handful of things. The fact that you are still tuning in and listening to me means the world to me, and you deserve my respect. And if you were here in front of me, I would like to hear what you have to say. And again, I do have an email. You can email me, ramblingsofanInsomniac49@gmail. You can email me. I'd love to listen because, again, I try to practice what I preach. I want to listen to different points of view. People that I may not agree with, I still want to hear. So, hey, thank you for listening. I wish you nothing but a fabulous, most amazing, mostest, bestest day ever. Until next time.